Life is full of little upgrades, right? A couple of weeks ago, I was elbow deep in some code when I took a look over at my old phone, gasping at its last breath. I was in dire need of an upgrade, but quite honestly, I didn't want to break the bank doing it. That is where the iPhone 16e comes in. It's Apple's latest budget iPhone. I say budget because this thing costs £150 more than the iPhone SE it was supposedly replacing. For that money, let's figure out if it's actually worth it, or if that price hike is simply just a kick in the wallet. So picture this, it's iPhone pre-order day and I am hyped. Black or white, those are the only two colour choices that you're getting here, and I'm torn. So I do what any rational person would do, I pick up my D20 and I roll it. Black for odds, white for evens. I roll the dice, it's an 11, we're going black. But as I'm hovering over that buy button, the $5.99 price tag staring back at me, up from the $4.29 of the iPhone SE, this really doesn't feel like a budget phone anymore, does it? But let's break it down. One of the first things I noticed was that absolutely gorgeous 6.1-inch OLED XDR Retina display. It is absolutely gorgeous. It is bright, crisp, and clear. Though it's not as bright as it could be, you can't really use this thing in broad daylight and it is restricted to only 60Hz. It is bigger than the iPhone SE's 4.3-inch display, but that's really not saying much. You're also missing the dynamic island here of the rest of the 16 series. You're back to the old notch design of the 14s. But quite honestly, I don't miss it too much because I'm not out here multitasking floating widgets anyway. In terms of design, we've moved away from the SE's older iPhone 7, iPhone 8 design, with its large bezels and Touch ID. This does unfortunately mean that there are no iPhones in 2025 that you can buy with Touch ID. It is a bit of a shame, but honestly, I prefer Face ID in most instances. This doesn't mean that they couldn't have kept Touch ID inside of the power button, like they do with the iPads, but for most people, it really shouldn't matter too much. The actual design follows more closely the iPhone 14, with its more chocolate bar squared off design. There's slightly less rounded edges, so it's sharper in the hand. And we've got all the standard buttons and inputs that you would expect. You've got that action button on the side, which also has that whole visual artificial intelligence thing where you can point the camera at things and it tells you what it sees. You've got USB-C on the bottom, and you've got the power button and the volume rocker. It's an iconic design, and I'm glad that the baseline iPhone has now caught up with the rest of the series in terms of its design. It feels like it fits very nicely in with the rest of the iPhones. Under the hood, it's got the same A18 Bionic chip as the rest of the 16 series. Well, I say that, it's not exactly the same. You're missing one GPU core here for some reason. But that does mean that games are still going to be buttery smooth, and the whole experience on iOS is just going to be flawless. This thing is an absolute beast, and it's also your cheapest way into Apple Intelligence. Though I'm not sure why you would want to be buying a phone specifically for Apple Intelligence. It really isn't there yet. It's underbaked and just doesn't work particularly well. That is a whole other video though, and if you're interested in finding out more about why Apple Intelligence is such a big fail, why don't you let me know in the comment section down below, and as well, while you're down there, get subscribed, because it genuinely does mean the world to me. On the back, we also get that singular camera. It's a good one though. It is a 48 megapixel camera and it's the same one that's found on the rest of the 16 series. It means you're going to get absolutely beautiful images and buttery smooth videos. You are missing the ultra wide and the telephoto. You're also missing the camera controls button and some of the photographic styles that are found on the rest of the 16 series. But quite honestly, for the people who are buying the 16e, this really shouldn't matter too much. And let's be honest, I'm no Adam Ansel out here. Now, let's talk about battery life, because that's where this thing truly does shine. Thanks to its C1 chip, which is Apple's own silicon that is basically handling everything in terms of networking, that's GPS, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, etc. There is up to 5G support, but it's not millimeter wave, so you're not getting that super fast 5G signals that you would expect from the rest of the 16 series. This does mean though that it is ultra efficient and can get you up to 4 hours longer battery life when it comes to video playback. And what does that mean in day-to-day life? Well, I was able to charge this iPhone up and use it all day and still have enough juice at the end of the day to be able to watch a few videos in bed. So let's talk about what's missing, because there's quite a lot missing for that slightly lower price tag. You're not getting the U1 chip here, which means that you're not going to get the ultra-precise AirTag finding that you find elsewhere. There's no MagSafe either. There is wireless charging, but it's Qi 2, so it's a lot slower and produces a lot of heat, and quite honestly, it's a faff to have to find the exact charging spot for a wireless charger. This can be somewhat remedied by just sticking a MagSafe case on it, but you're still not going to get the really fast speeds that come with pure MagSafe charging. So all those lovely MagSafe accessories that you may have accumulated over the years, like wallets, are essentially useless now. Unless you get the case, of course. No dynamic island, no camera control button, no lenses on the back, you've just got that singular one. Honestly, this is starting to sound like less and less of a good deal by the second. Now, for most people who are perhaps considering upgrading to the iPhone 16e, a lot of these things are not going to be deal breakers because they're features that you haven't had before, so you really don't know what you're missing. But honestly, that £150 price tag, it's just a really hard pill to swallow, especially when you can go onto the second-hand market and get yourself an iPhone 15 Pro, which has all of the features that we spoke about today and more for the same price. You're still getting that Apple Intelligence, you're getting the 2 additional cameras, you're getting the MagSafe, you're getting basically everything that's missing from the 16e bar the camera control button. This is not a budget iPhone anymore, and it's really sad to see that they've just discontinued the SE. Because honestly, for 99% of people, this was the one that I would recommend the most, if you don't need a lot of the Pro features that the 16 and the 16 Pros offered. So, verdict time. I think for a lot of people, the iPhone 16e is a great entry point, and it is still the entry-level iPhone. But honestly, it feels significantly less budget now than it did before, especially when you can spend about the same amount of money and get last year's Pro model for all of the features that you're missing here and then some. Sure, it's got a stunning display, great camera, as well as a lot of other nice features that have been missing from the SE series for a very long time. But honestly, that price tag is just a no-go for a lot of people. The C1 chip is also a nice addition. We expect to see this bleeding through into the rest of the iPhone series with the iPhone 17. So a lot of the performance and battery upgrades that you're getting will also trickle down into those devices. This feels like Apple just flexing a testbed for that C1 chip and showing what they can do when they're on a slightly more restricted budget. I'm not sure I can truly recommend it to a lot of people, but that's not to say that it is a bad iPhone. If you want the Apple Intelligence and you want the best baseline iPhone, then the 16e is an absolutely great choice. Anyway guys, why don't you let me know what you think of the iPhone 16e in the comment section down below. And of course, while you're down there, like, subscribe, share this with your friends and family, do all of that good stuff, because it genuinely does mean the world to me and helps out the channel a ton. Anyway guys, my name's been Robert, this has been Bite Size Clue, and I will catch you in the next one. Adios.